Life is about growth, evolution, and stepping into your true self. But to become the man you were meant to be, you have to leave the boy behind. That boy represents fear, hesitation, excuses, and dependency. The man, he's strong, decisive, accountable, and unstoppable. Taking responsibility means owning every part of your life. A boy blames others, his parents, upbringing, boss, or even the weather. A man steps back, looks at the mess, and says, "This is on me." That's where transformation begins. The first step toward real growth is admitting that your success or failure lies in your hands. No one is coming to save you. When you take responsibility, you realize that excuses don't change your situation. Complaining doesn't pay the bills or fix the problems. A boy wastes time pointing fingers. A man uses that same energy to find solutions. Stop telling yourself, "If only this didn't happen to me." Instead, ask yourself, what can I do to change this? Taking control also means understanding that the past is the past. You might not have had the best start, but that doesn't dictate your finish. Maybe you were dealt a bad hand. So what? Plenty of men have turned tragedy into triumph. You have to stop letting your circumstances define you. It's not enough to acknowledge the problem. You need to act. Taking responsibility means getting up every morning, asking yourself, what can I do today to move forward? Small steps lead to big changes, but it all starts with accountability. You can't wait for things to improve. You have to make them improve. Responsibility is also about owning your mistakes. Nobody gets it right all the time, but a boy hides from failure while a man learns from it. Mistakes aren't the end of the road. They're part of the process. Own them, learn from them, and keep moving. The shift from boyhood to manhood is marked by one thing: ownership. The boy waits for permission while the man takes charge. If something isn't right in your life, it's up to you to fix it. The world doesn't owe you understanding or sympathy. The moment you embrace that truth, you take the first step toward freedom. Responsibility is power. The boy gives his power away, saying, "It's not my fault." The man takes his power back by saying, "It's up to me." Do you want to grow? Start by owning everything, your choices, your failures, your future. That's what a man does. Approval is a drug that keeps boys trapped in a cycle of self-doubt. A boy needs to hear someone say, "You're good enough," to feel good about himself. A man knows he's good enough even when nobody else sees it. Validation from others is temporary. Confidence in yourself is permanent. Stop chasing applause and start walking your path. Seeking approval keeps you small. It forces you to make decisions based on what others think instead of what you know is right. Boys shrink themselves to fit into the mold others have created for them. A man breaks the mold. You don't need permission to be great. You need courage to be authentic. Living for approval is exhausting. You'll find yourself twisting and turning, trying to please everyone, only to realize it's impossible. The boy feels like a failure when people criticize him. The man understands that criticism is often a sign he's doing something right. You don't grow by being liked, you grow by being real. Approval seeking is rooted in fear, fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of standing out. A man recognizes those fears but doesn't let them control him. He knows that true confidence comes from within. It's not about being arrogant. It's about being secure in who you are. People will always have opinions about your life. Some will support you, others will doubt you. The boy listens to every voice. The man listens to the voice inside him. Your instincts, your values, your vision, those are the things that guide a man. Learn to trust yourself. When you stop seeking approval, you gain freedom. You no longer live for others, you live for your purpose. That's where power comes from, not from being liked, but from being respected. And respect doesn't come from following the crowd. It comes from standing firm in your truth. The boy worries about being accepted. The man focuses on being authentic. Approval is fleeting, but authenticity lasts a lifetime. The moment you stop needing others to validate you, you step into your power. That's when the boy dies and the man is born. Discipline is the foundation of greatness. A boy chases comfort, he wants the easy way out. A man understands that nothing worth having comes easy. Success requires consistency, effort, and sacrifice. Discipline isn't a punishment, it's the tool that turns dreams into reality. Comfort zones are traps. The boy convinces himself that staying in his comfort zone is safe. But the truth is, nothing grows there. The man knows that growth happens in discomfort. Whether it's waking up early, working late, or saying no to distractions, discipline is what separates the good from the great. The world doesn't reward laziness. A boy thinks he deserves success just because he wants it. A man works for it. Discipline means showing up even when you don't feel like it. It means doing the hard things day after day because you know they'll pay off in the end. Discipline builds character. A boy gives up when things get tough. A man pushes through the pain because he knows the pain is temporary, but the rewards are permanent. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you get stronger mentally and physically. Comfort is seductive, but it's also the enemy of progress. The boy looks for shortcuts. The man takes the long road, knowing it's the only road that leads to real success. Sacrifices aren't losses, they're investments in your future. Discipline is the currency you use to pay for your dreams. You can't have it both ways. You can't live a comfortable life and expect extraordinary results. A man understands this truth and embraces it. He wakes up early when the boy stays in bed. He stays focused when the boy gets distracted. Discipline is what sets him apart. The boy wants results without effort. The man knows the effort is the result. Discipline isn't just about achieving goals, it's about becoming the kind of person who achieves goals. That's why discipline is the death of the boy and the birth of the man. Fear is the wall that separates the boy from the man. A boy runs from fear, thinking it will disappear if he ignores it. A man stands in front of it, knowing the only way out is through. Fear isn't your enemy, it's your compass. It points to where you need to grow. Running from fear only makes it stronger. Every time you avoid a challenge, you give fear more power over your life. A man understands this, and instead of running, he leans into the discomfort. Fear isn't a sign to stop, it's a sign to start. What you're afraid of is often exactly what you need to face. Fear of failure holds boys back. A boy worries about what people will say if he falls short. A man knows failure is part of success. Every great man has failed over and over. Failure is not the end, it's the beginning. It teaches you, humbles you, and prepares you for what's next. Fear of rejection keeps boys in the shadows. A boy hesitates to take risks because he's afraid of being told no. A man embraces rejection because he knows it's a stepping stone, not a stop sign. Rejection is proof that you're trying, and trying is the only way to succeed. Fear of the unknown keeps boys stagnant. A boy wants guarantees before he takes a step. A man knows there are no guarantees in life, just opportunities. The unknown isn't something to avoid, it's something to explore. Growth happens when you step into uncertainty with faith. Facing your fears isn't a one-time event, it's a daily practice. Every time you push through fear, you build courage. And courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward despite it. The boy freezes when he's afraid, the man moves. That's the difference. Fear is the greatest liar you'll ever meet. It tells you you're not ready, not capable, not enough. The boy believes those lies. The man proves them wrong. Every time you face your fears, you take another step toward becoming the man you were meant to be. Emotions are powerful, but they can't be in the driver's seat. A boy is controlled by how he feels angry, sad, frustrated, or scared. A man feels those same emotions, but doesn't let them dictate his actions. Mastering your emotions is not about suppressing them, it's about managing them. When anger takes over, the boy lashes out. He says things he can't take back, acts without thinking, and creates more problems. A man feels the anger but pauses. He channels that energy into something productive. Anger can either destroy or build. It's up to you to decide which. Sadness can paralyze the boy. He sits in his pain, feeling sorry for himself, waiting for someone to rescue him. A man acknowledges the sadness but doesn't let it consume him. He knows it's okay to feel down, but he also knows he has to get back up. Emotions are temporary, action is permanent. Fear can make the boy retreat. He avoids risks, opportunities, and challenges because he's scared of what might happen. The man feels the fear but moves forward anyway. Courage isn't about not being afraid, it's about taking action despite the fear. The man doesn't let his emotions stop him. Joy can even mislead the boy. He chases fleeting happiness, indulging in things that bring momentary pleasure but leave him empty. A man seeks fulfillment, which often requires discipline and delayed gratification. True joy comes from building something meaningful, not from chasing quick highs. Emotional mastery requires self-awareness. A boy reacts to his emotions without understanding them. A man takes the time to ask, why do I feel this way? What's triggering this? Understanding your emotions gives you the power to control them. Without control, you're a prisoner to your feelings. When you master your emotions, you gain clarity and strength. You can make decisions based on logic and values instead of impulses. The boy reacts to life, the man responds, and that response is what defines his character. Emotions are a tool, not a master. Being a man means stepping up as a provider and protector. A boy thinks only of himself, his wants, and his needs. A man looks at the people around him, his family, his community, his loved ones, and asks, how can I serve them? How can I ensure they're safe? That's the difference. Provision isn't just about money, it's about stability. A man provides consistency, reliability, and leadership. He makes decisions that benefit the people who depend on him. A boy spends recklessly, thinking only of today. A man plans for the future, knowing that his actions have consequences beyond himself. Protection is about more than physical safety. A man protects the emotional and mental well-being of those he cares about. He doesn't tolerate disrespect toward his family, his values, or values principles. A boy avoids confrontation. A man stands firm even when it's uncomfortable. To provide and protect, a man must first become strong himself. A boy neglects his growth, thinking someone else will handle the heavy lifting. A man understands that he can't pour from an empty cup. He invests in himself, his health, his skills, his mindset, so he can be the foundation others rely on. Providing and protecting also means setting boundaries. A boy lets people take advantage of him, fearing rejection if he says no. A man knows that saying no is sometimes the most loving thing he can do. You can't protect others if you're too busy pleasing everyone. A boy is reactive, waiting for problems to arise. A man is proactive, anticipating challenges and preparing for them. Whether it's saving money, building skills, or strengthening relationships, a man thinks ahead. He doesn't wait for a crisis to act. He's ready before it comes. Being a provider and protector isn't a burden, it's an honor. It's what gives a man purpose and fulfillment. The boy takes from the world, but the man gives, and in giving, he becomes the pillar that others can lean on. A boy avoids responsibility because it feels like a weight he's not ready to carry. A man embraces it because he knows it's the path to growth and purpose. Responsibility isn't a burden, it's a privilege that separates those who lead from those who follow. Responsibility means owning your actions, good and bad. A boy blames others when things go wrong. He points fingers and makes excuses. A man looks in the mirror and says, "Eyes on me." He understands that accountability is the foundation of maturity and trust. Taking responsibility means stepping up even when it's hard. A boy looks for shortcuts and quick cuts, hoping someone else will clean up the mess. A man faces challenges head on, knowing that doing the right thing isn't always easy, but is always necessary. Responsibility isn't about perfection. It's about effort. A man doesn't need to have all the answers, but he takes the initiative to figure them out. A boy waits for someone to guide him. A man learns, adapts, and grows through the process. Responsibility extends to the people around you. A man understands that his decisions affect more than just himself. Whether it's his family, his team, or his community, he takes their well-being into account. A boy acts without thinking of the ripple effects. Embracing responsibility doesn't mean carrying the world on your shoulders. It means being reliable, consistent, and trustworthy. A man knows when to ask for help and when to stand firm. The boy avoids the weight. The man becomes strong enough to carry it. Responsibility transforms you. It forces you to level up, to think bigger, and to act with purpose. A boy sees it as a limit on his freedom. A man sees it as the key to true freedom, because responsibility leads to independence, respect, and legacy. A boy craves approval. He needs to hear "good job" or "you're the best" to feel worthy. A man knows his value doesn't come from other people's opinions. Validation from others is temporary, but self-respect is permanent. That's the difference. Seeking validation leads to compromise. A boy changes himself to fit in, to gain acceptance. A man stands firm in who he is, even if it means standing alone. He knows that real respect comes from authenticity, not from trying to please everyone. When you chase validation, you give others control over your life. A boy lets compliments and criticism dictate his mood, his actions, and his self-worth. A man takes feedback in stride but doesn't let it define him. He knows who he is and what he's capable of, regardless of what others say. Social media has made validation an addiction for boys. They post for likes, comments, and attention, thinking it will make them feel complete. A man uses social media as a tool, not as a measure of his worth. He knows his value isn't tied to a number on the screen. Validation is fleeting. A boy gets it and immediately craves more, like an endless cycle. A man seeks fulfillment instead. He works for his goals, not for applause, but for the satisfaction of knowing he gave his best. That's what separates the achievers from the pretenders. True validation comes from within. A man learns to look in the mirror and say, "I'm proud of you," without needing anyone else to say it first. He builds his confidence through actions, not words. A boy waits for affirmation. A man creates it. When you stop seeking validation, you find freedom. You're no longer a prisoner of what others think. You can focus on your goals, your growth, and your path without distractions. That's when you truly step into your power as a man. Discipline is the bridge between the boy you are and the man you want to become. A boy relies on motivation. When he feels like it, he acts. A man relies on discipline. He acts whether he feels like it or not. Motivation is fleeting, but discipline is consistent. Dependence on others keeps boys stuck. A boy looks for someone to push him, to remind him, to keep him accountable. A man holds himself accountable. He doesn't need anyone to wake him up, to set his goals, or to remind him to work hard. He takes ownership of his habits. Discipline is built in the small moments. It's waking up on time, keeping your word, and doing what needs to be done even when no one is watching. A boy skips the hard stuff, thinking it doesn't matter. A man knows the little things add up to the big things. Dependence on comfort is another trap for boys. A boy stays in his comfort zone because it's safe and easy. A man steps out of it, knowing growth only happens when you're uncomfortable. Discipline means choosing growth over comfort every single time. Discipline is about consistency, not perfection. A boy quits when he slips up or doesn't see immediate results. A man keeps going, knowing progress is a process. He understands that setbacks are part of the journey, not the end of it. Building discipline means saying no to distractions. A boy gets caught up in what's fun or easy in the moment. A man stays focused on what matters. Discipline isn't about deprivation, it's about prioritization. The boy chases pleasure, the man pursues purpose. When you build discipline, you build freedom. The boy is controlled by his impulses and circumstances. The man controls his actions and his destiny. Discipline is what turns dreams into reality, and it's what separates the boys from the men. A boy waits for someone to tell him what to do, where to go, and how to think. A man takes charge even when the path isn't clear. Leadership doesn't always mean being the boss. It means taking responsibility for your life and the direction you're heading. Leading starts with leading yourself. A boy is controlled by his habits, his impulses, and the opinions of others. A man masters his mind, his emotions, and his decisions. He knows that if he can't lead himself, he can't lead anyone else. Leadership requires vision. A boy focuses on what's in front of him, what feels good right now. A man looks ahead. He plans, he strategizes, and he makes choices that align with where he wants to be, not just where he is. Vision separates the reactive from the proactive. A leader doesn't wait for permission. A boy asks, "Can I?" A man says, "I will." He doesn't wait for someone to solve his problems or create opportunities for him. He steps up, takes initiative, and creates his path forward. True leadership is about serving others, not controlling them. A boy wants power and recognition for himself. A man empowers others, lifts them, and sets an example. Leadership isn't about being above, it's about being among, guiding through action. A man leads by standing firm in his values, even when it's unpopular. A boy follows the crowd to avoid judgment or discomfort. A man is willing to walk alone if it means